Okay, so welcome everybody. This is our first night of our bug user group. It's the kickoff night. We may have some stragglers coming in here, so I just wanted to let everybody know that we may have some additional people coming in the room. Sometimes we have a break between classes at this time, so we could get a few more people here. If you're here for the first time and you haven't experienced this, please put your name and the class that you're here for. And that way we can keep track of who's here. Also, please have your web cameras on and that way you're actively engaged and aware here. Unless you've contacted me. I know there's one person in here that contacted me prior about their web camera. So anyway, welcome everybody. I'll just start by introducing myself. So my name is Christy Banks and I am the Bug User Group advisor here in the Lyles College of Engineering. And tonight is our kickoff, and we've got Bluebeam, who is our partner for Bluebeam itself, and Sophie Max is our academic counterpart here at Bluebeam. And we've also got Troy DeGroot here speaking on basic Bluebeam functionality. And we also have, Bluebeam, a bug junkie for sure. And then we've got, we also have Carrie Rentz here. So good to see everybody. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. And then some of our bug leaders will be introducing themselves here throughout the night. Okay, so let me turn it over to Sophie.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Super excited to be here with you all this evening. As Christy mentioned, my name's Sophie Max, and I'm the Senior Academic Specialist here at Bluebeam and have been Fresno State's Bluebeam User Group partner since its inception 3-4 years ago. Christy and I were trying to remember exactly how long, but long enough that it feels like it's been going on for a really long time, which is a great place to be. So super excited for your kickoff meeting tonight. I'm just going to go through a brief PowerPoint, just kind of introducing you to what is a Bluebeam user group, a little bit about Bluebeam, and then I'll pass it over to Troy for an awesome first presentation. So here's the agenda. We'll have time for Q&A at the end, and of course, Troy can speak to that as well. But kind of the first thing that I want to touch on is, I'm not sure how many of you have been to a bug meeting before. It would be great if you could put in the chat, if you've been before, if this is your first time. It'd be great to get a feel for kind of who's in the virtual room. But a little bit about Fresno State's Student Bluebeam User Group and just kind of in general, what is a Bluebeam User Group? So a Bluebeam User Group is a group of folks from various disciplines and various backgrounds who are really coming together to share different knowledge about the industry and learn from one another about the industry. And this is a really kind of unique opportunity for you all as students to have this type of platform to come together, to share knowledge. You've all, have varying degrees of experience with internships, who you're interning with. Are you interning locally? Have you traveled for an internship? So it's really an opportunity for everyone to come and share those experiences, collaborate with each other, learn from each other, and connect. And I think this last piece is one of my favorites, but we've seen this group really be a piece to empower, your peers. Christy and I have seen students grow immensely from this group, especially those who are taking on a leadership role. So it's a really kind of exciting time, exciting opportunity to really be the future leaders of the industry and kind of get some of that experience as a leader as well, both a leader for your peers, but also for yourself, and really kind of taking that empowerment role to, empower yourself to learn what's important to you, what's important for your future as well. So that's a little bit about the group. Yeah, Christy.
And Sophie, I wanted to just mention that in the chat, there's a couple people that did introduce themselves. So we have Ganya here that's never been to a bug user group. So she's here for the first time, as well as Sunveer. So I just wanted to welcome you guys. They're both in my CM 124 class, the contract labor relations class. And so this is their first introduction, to a bug user group. So we're really glad that you could make it. And then Nanad's here from our master's program. And I think Jasmine's here as well from our master's program. They've come before and they've really learned a lot. And so I'm sure they're here to learn even more. So it's good to have you guys.
That's awesome. Welcome, everyone. And yeah, please, we'll be monitoring the chat. So ask questions in the chat, if there's anything you need to share. So now I'm going to pass it over to the student champions of this group to just introduce themselves. It's an opportunity for them to introduce themselves, talk about why they're a part of the group, and anything else they want to share. Major. We can start with Manny at the top.
Is Manny here tonight?
Yeah,
I don't think so. Oh, hi, Manny. Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Manny Verde. So I joined Bug because I wanted to learn more about the program. I know they use it in internships and a lot of companies use it all around, and I just want to get familiar with it. And also I'm a construction management major, and I'm really glad you guys are all able to be here tonight.
Thanks, Manny. Ray, do you want to go next?
Sure, I'll go next. Hi, I'm Ray Lopez. I don't have a picture because I don't take pictures, and when I do, they always come out horrible. So I apologize for not having a picture. But I am Ray Lopez. I'm fourth year. I learned about Bug, I believe, sophomore year. No, junior year? Third year? Yeah, because Carrie actually forced me. No, I'm just playing. He mentioned it to me and told me how great it was and told me that I should join the Bug user group. So thankfully you guys invited me and I'm here now. It has been a great experience. I have learned a lot from Bug. Honestly, I didn't know what Bluebeam was until my internship. And then after my internship, I learned a lot more by coming to these Bug meetings. So it's really helpful and I really enjoy it.
Great, Ray. Well, we're glad to have you. And I'm sure your pictures are just fine.
No, they always come out horrible.
Jacob, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Jacob. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello, everybody. My name is Jacob McIntosh. I joined Bug pretty recently. I think it was like last spring. So I'm pretty new, but I really just joined it just to learn more about Bluebeam itself because it is a really popular software that a lot of people use in the AEC industry, and just to kind of get involved with the school as well. So yeah.
Great, Jacob. Well, we're glad to have you. I think Christina's going to be a little bit late because she had another meeting, so we'll catch her later. Kiet, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. My name is Kate. Here, it's going to be my third year this year, and I plan to graduate this spring. Been with Bug for almost a year now. Making some friends and, learn a lot of things about Bluebeam and also the industry, in general. So pretty cool.
Well, we're glad to have you, Keith. Karndeep, you want to go next? I know Karndeep's new to our group, so welcome, Karndeep.
Yeah, I'll go. So hi, my name's Karndeep. This is my second year at Fresno State, and I'm a new member. I just joined a few weeks ago, and my friend Keith, he helped me get this. And so I attended a few meetings my first year, and I really joined just so I could engage and get more valuable tips from all the presenters that come and speak.
Great. Well, we're glad to have you, Karndeep. Colton, you want to go next?
Hello, everybody. My name is Colton. I joined Bug same time as Jacob, and I just wanted to join mainly to just become a Bluebeam ninja, like some of the people in here, and gain knowledge about Bluebeam because it's the industry standard. In my internship, I use it pretty much every day, and it's a very useful tool, and all the tips and tricks about it are good things to know. I went to XCon. That was a great experience. Learned a lot there, and I am a CM major. So happy everybody made it tonight, and yeah, let's have a good little meeting here tonight.
Thanks, Colton. We're glad to have you here. Matt, you want to go next?
Yeah, hey everybody. My name is Matt Forney. I'm a junior in the CM department, and I just joined the Bug user group in about January last year, and it's really kind of been a great experience. I was able to walk onto my internship and know pretty much anything I needed to do in Bluebeam, and this group was a big part of that. So it's definitely good that you're all here tonight.
And did you show other people some tips and tricks out there in the field?
Not to the people that work at McCarthy, but I definitely showed the other interns my Bluebeam
Oh,
knowledge.
that's good.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys, especially that are here on a regular basis, you're going to have some great skills. So good. Glad to have you, Matt. And Daniel, you want to go next?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Daniel Delgado, senior CM student. I joined Bug because Christy suggested it. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to learn more about Bug and use it for my internship, which I did. Used it a lot of my internship. Yeah, I joined Bug to gain more knowledge and network with people too, because you get to meet a lot of different people in the industry.
Great. Well, we're glad to have you, Daniel, and I'm glad I roped you in because you're a great leader. Okay, so I think, did I catch everybody that's a leader here? I think so. I think we can turn it back over to Sophie. So you want to continue on there, Sophie?
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks everyone for introducing yourself. And so you heard Colton mention XCon. Oh, that's very fuzzy. My apologies. There we go. So XCon is Bluebeam's annual user conference. Students who are leaders of the group have the opportunity to attend the conference every year. And this year, it was less than a month ago, and Fresno State's user group won Standout Bug of the Year this year. So we are super excited about that. I'm not going to play the video, but I'll put this link in the chat once I'm done with the PowerPoint. Super exciting. I would encourage you all to watch the video because it's really inspiring. And this award goes out to Bluebeam user groups who are really who are innovative, who are really kind of bringing learning and collaboration to the forefront. So I was very proud of you all, and it was really exciting to see.
Well, thanks, Sophie. And, I wanted to mention that Liza is in this picture, and maybe Liza, you can wave your hand there. But she's here tonight and she actually graduated. So Liza, where are you working now?
I'm with Bernard right now.
Yeah, so I actually met one of your, I want to say interns that's working there. Is it Patir, I think?
Premier, yeah.
Yes, I talked to him on the phone. So hopefully you should tell him he should come to this group too. He'll learn a lot.
I told him.
He just might have been busy. We have so many that he could join on another one, but it's so good to have you here, Liza, and for you to hear about this, because it was like 4 years in the making for this award. So that's why we have you. If you look at the video, especially Sophie, she'd probably like to see the video for sure.
Oh, definitely. I had no idea.
I know, I think this is a congratulations to you, Liza, and just everyone who, has been a leader over the last, 4 years. So hopefully for those of you who, are new to the group, you can kind of see how you have an impact, not just in one semester, not just in 1 year, but over time as well. So I'll send a link out into the chat for this.
Thanks, Sophie.
Okay, there we go. All right, so just really briefly to introduce Bluebeam, for those of you who aren't sure what Bluebeam is. Bluebeam is the company that I work for. It's a software company, and we make software for the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. So our flagship product, which is what Troy will be talking about tonight, is a PDF markup and collaboration tool. Again, designed specifically for the industry. And this on the screen is really our mission. It's to empower people to advance the way that our world is built. So forgive all of the, not in the right order, but this slide is really kind of talking about how we empower people to advance the way that our world is built. I think it's a very kind of lofty statement, but we're really kind of getting at that, simply based on really trying to cater to the pain points of the industry, catering to the pain points of our customer. So just a couple of kind of quick ways that we're doing that. We know that collaboration is a big pain point in the industry. So addressing that through Bluebeam Studio, which is our kind of cloud portion of the software. And then markup and measurement tools, simple but effective, really going into that, that communication and that clear communication between your project teams. And then lastly, because we are a PDF software, PDF is a universal file format. So having that universal file format, again, allows for that ease of communication and collaboration across different teams, across industries, but really across teams regardless of where you're located. And then just to kind of point out at the top here, the software, which I'm sure you'll kind of hear a bit more about this tonight, but just it's intended to be used throughout the entire project lifecycle. So all the way from design review, all the way to project handover, and everywhere in between. So, again, just a couple more pieces of information for you. The company was founded in California, in Pasadena in 2002. And you can see that as the industry has grown, we have grown a lot as well, now with over 2 million users in 130 different countries. And I always like to point out the statistic here that 99% of top US contractors are using Bluebeam Review, as well as 86% of top US design firms. And I kind of go into this next slide, just to really kind of get at that statistic. This slide's really just to give you all an idea of some of the larger firms that we work with. And we don't just work with large firms. We honestly mostly work with small and medium-sized businesses. But this is just to give you a sense of the likelihood that you'll be encountering Bluebeam Review at some point in your careers, whether that's now as a student in your classes, whether that's in an internship or in a job after you graduate. And that's really why we as an academic program are here. It's to help you access the tools and give you the opportunities to learn the technology that will help you, both now while you're in school, but also well into your careers. So with that, just wanted to share briefly about our academic program. We offer free software, free licenses of Bluebeam Review Extreme, which is the most robust edition of our software, for free to students, for educators, and for computer labs. So I'll put a link in the chat as well for the link to apply for a license. And then, we also do live webinars for classes, as well as we have free training videos and free on-demand webinars online. So if you have any questions, again, please feel free to put that information or put your questions in the chat. And with that, I'm going to introduce our wonderful speaker, Troy DeGroot. So Troy is the Director of Bluebeam Professional Services at UChapter 2. And he's a Bluebeam certified consultant, Bluebeam certified instructor, and implementation specialist. And Troy travels the country training over 2,000 students annually with customized tools and workflows. And it's these extensive and diverse training opportunities that have led to Troy being a requested annual presenter at AIA meetings, Bluebeam Academy, and at XCon, Bluebeam's annual user conference. So with over 20 years of experience in the industry, Troy has really cultivated a deep understanding of the requirements of customers, the needs of end users of the software, and common goals of management, as well as the capacities of the technology. So he's led many companies through successful software implementations and training, and he's served as the BIM manager for a large multidiscipline engineering firm, as well as providing a broad understanding of the industry and the evolution of technology. So with that, Troy, I'll hand it over to you to kind of give us an overview of Bluebeam functionality. And I'll stop sharing my screen.
Awesome. Thank you, Sophie. Thanks for having me, guys. Like she said, I've been in the industry for about 27 years now. As I'm sharing my screen here, I liked all your guys' intros, so I'm trying to mimic what you guys were. I've been in the bugs for, gosh, as long as they've been around. I've been presenting at bugs for 6 years now, all over the world, doing webinars and showing things, showing different workflows and things like that. So let's see if I can get, that's not the one I want. There we go. So today, well, I guess to add to the intro, I started out I went to a drafting school and I became a draftsman. I was doing structural steel detailing, worked through board drafting all the way into BIM, into that BIM manager role, and then really just kind of got burnt out and switched over to teaching. So I was teaching the old me, the software that I was using every day, and really got a passion for not only teaching, but learning more myself. And I know Sophie mentioned earlier the importance of these groups and the networking and just kind of the personal development that you'll gain at a bug group like this. Invaluable. I can't even express it enough. I sat in a cubicle for years and years and years and just did my job. And when I started going to user groups and learning from my peers and speaking up and asking questions and things like that, that's when my career took off. So I just want to reiterate that and the importance of that. Kind of crazy that I went from a drafting school, a 12-month drafting school, to now owning a very successful business training Bluebeam. I never would have dreamt that. To me, I would have been an architect drawing homes, and but here I am teaching Bluebeam and loving it. So so tonight we're just going to go through. I'm going to start super basic and show you guys a little bit of the interface, kind of what Bluebeam does in a broad sense, and some some tips and tricks along the way. I know that you guys are meeting weekly, it looks like, and you have some great topics lined up. I hope to be back for several of them. We'll see, but I'm just going to start super simple tonight. For those of you that have never been in Bluebeam, for those of you that have, I hope that you get some tips and tricks out of this as well. It's always my goal to get everybody up to that next or that higher base level knowledge of Bluebeam. So here we go. Catch my breath again. You guys might, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you and let everybody know, I think I talked to Troy before we started here, and he said he's comfortable with you guys just popping in and asking questions, or if you would rather put them in the chat, I can ask him the questions as well. So don't feel uncomfortable. It's meant to be, you know, an opportunity for you guys to learn. So feel free to jump in and stop in if you have questions.
Yes, absolutely. I teach these all day long through Zoom or in person, so don't be afraid to unmute yourself and ask those questions if you need to see something again, or jump in the chat. I'm watching that also. So yeah, if you guys are bored, I'm going to be bored. So jump in, ask questions, and we'll have some fun. So right off the bat, I just have a PDF open, like we were explaining earlier. Bluebeam is a PDF viewing software, and beyond that, we've got markups for design review, estimates, QA, QC, punch walks, all these different workflows throughout the life cycle, all the way down to facility management, as Sophie was explaining. And so I've got a PDF open, which is the standard deliverable in the construction and design industry. So I know there's a lot of talk about 3D deliverables and building from models and things like that. That'll come in its time. But for right now and for probably my lifetime, the PDF is going to be the deliverable to the construction site and all the coordination and so on. So I'm working with a PDF here. And so once I have a PDF open, you'll notice down here on the bottom right side, Bluebeam Review actually recognizes what size document we have. So it's telling me this is a 42 by 30-inch document. And because that's a large format document, it's going to put us in this one full page mode, which means it's going to maximize the width of or the size of that document, but my center wheel of my mouse is going to zoom in and zoom out. I know other software out there for PDFs, you got to grab onto the bar and try to move things around. It's cumbersome. In Bluebeam, we can just zoom in and zoom out. And then if we hold down our left mouse button, we can move that piece of paper around just like we would on our desk. So that is our one full page mode down here. If I open up a small format document, an 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17, again, it will tell me that over here. And the default is going to be this next one, which is scrolling pages. That's going to maximize the width of the document. And then my scrolling wheel, instead of zooming in and zooming out, it's going to scroll up and down on those pages. And if it's a multi-page document, obviously it's going to scroll through those pages just like it does in Word or PowerPoint. So just know once in a while, it'll be in the wrong mode. It'll scroll instead of zoom. Just know those buttons are down here. You'll run into that from time to time. Okay. In review, we can also split our screen. We have buttons over here, split vertical and split horizontal. So you can split whichever view is active. We can split up to 16 times, which means in this case, I have 3 of them. I could have a large format drawing open over here, maybe a spec sheet or a detail over here. And then I could even have a web browser open in this third pane, going to a product that's being called out on the drawings. Also, you can grab onto these tabs here with your left mouse button and drag that off onto another monitor if you want to. Sometimes we're just referencing this view and we don't need to move around. So we pull that out of our drawing area and maximize the space that we have with our tools. We just pull that off to the side on another monitor. And then when I'm done with those, I just click on the X and close the ones I don't want anymore. And then as I move across, we have our pan mode. Again, that's just the hand that moves things around. I leave mine on there 100% of the time. I used to switch over to some of these other ones, but I've just gotten used to, with all the design software and things I've used, just scrolling in, scrolling out, moving things around. I used to use the select arrow. So let me do, I'm just going to place a couple markups here so that I have something to grab. I used to switch over to the select arrow so that I could draw a box around what I'm trying to select. So if I go from left to right, it's going to select everything inside of the box. And if I go from right to left, it's going to select everything that the box crosses or touches. Okay, so it grabbed all three of those. I actually learned from a student several years ago that we don't have to do that. One option is if we go back to the pan, so I leave it on pan mode. If you hold your shift key, you can click and drag and draw that same window. Or even better, if you just hold down your right mouse button instead of your left, you can draw that without switching modes. So if you hold your right mouse button down, you can click and drag and grab everything inside of that without switching or holding your shift key or anything like that.
Hey, Troy, I got a question. You don't mind?
Yeah, no problem.
I noticed that your cursor is like it's like a cross, and on mine, when I have Bluebeam, it doesn't look like that. Did you customize that, or how can I make my cursor look like that?
Yeah, you can all do that. So if you go up to view,
Okay.
about 2/3 of the way down, you have full screen crosshair.
Okay.
And so what he's pointing out is on my cursor, I have a line that goes top to bottom, left to right, all the way across the screen. To me, that helps me line up and know where I'm drawing that box.
Right.
So I know what's going to fall inside of it. It also helps me if I'm in a congested area of the drawing and I look away and I come back. A lot of times you'll lose your mouse. You don't know where it is. You'll squiggle and try to find it. With the crosshairs turned on, everything, all those lines point to your cursor every time. So you can draw your eyes right back to those pretty quick. Good question.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so that's the arrow. Again, I leave it on pan. Once in a while, I would use the zoom tool. If you click on that, you can zoom in on a specific area, just draw a box. What I found is once I zoomed in, I would go to pan over to this side and it zoomed in again. If it does that, we've got these buttons over here to zoom previous, so I can jump backwards to where I was zoomed in before. I just found that always screwed me up, so I leave it in the pan. And that just could be my being old and set my ways. With that said, these previous view and next view, these are extremely useful. A lot of people don't realize these are here. These are really useful when you go to, let's say you're looking at the plan view, and then you go to a different sheet for a section cut. You'll go and you'll zoom in. I don't only have one sheet open here, but let's just say I zoom in over here, and then I want to go back to where I was. I've got this previous view that will jump me back as far as I want to go and jump forward again. So you can go look at that detail. I know I've been in the industry forever, and if my experience, if I'm looking at the plan and I go to look at the section cut, by the time I get to the section cut, I forgot what the plan looked like. So go back, and then I got to look at the section again, and so on. You go back a couple of times before you actually get that visual in your head. And these buttons will help you do that without too much navigation. This middle one here, if this is a multi-page document, you can just type in 5 here and hit enter. It'll jump to the 5th page. Otherwise, if this were a multi-page document, again, you'd have first page, next page, or first page, last page, next page, last page, blah, 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 whatever those are. You get the idea. And then over here, I used to never show these in my demos, but I had a guy in the UK. He sat in on one of my basics classes, and he said this button alone was worth the price of admission. So what this one does is it turns off your line weights. So when it's blue, that means your line weights are turned off. When I click on that again, you'll see the thickness of all these lines. And what that does is it kind of makes things a little more difficult to see when you're measuring and things like that. So I tend to just leave those off so that I can see, and when I'm measuring, I can get to those exact points. I always use the snaps down here, but it helps to be able to see what you're doing as well. I know in other software, when you try to do a measurement, you got to zoom in and try to figure out where the center of that blob is. In Bluebeam, we have a lot of great tools so we don't have to guess. So that is down there. And then I'm just going to show a couple tools down here. 2 of these I have turned off all the time, and 4 of them I usually have turned on all the time. And if you guys don't have these on your interface, if you're following along, you're going to go up to the tools menu, go down to toolbars, and make sure you have these top 3 turned on. Okay, we just went through the navigation bar and all the tools that are on the navigation bar. And then now we're going to go through the status bar and some tools that are in there. So you just go to tools, toolbars, make sure these top 3 are turned on. This first one here, if I click on that and turn it on, you'll see this grid system turn on. These dots, these aren't at all related to the building on the drawings. So to me, that just kind of introduces error. There's definitely use cases when you would turn these on. But for the most part, in my experience, when you have a drawing, we don't want to turn those on because we can end up snapping to those. This next one is snap to grid. And if I try to do a dimension or a line, it's going to snap onto the grid line instead of the building and not give me accurate information. So I like to turn these first 2 off. This next one is snap to content. This is extremely important when you're doing measurements. So I'm going to jump up here and show you guys how to do some measurements. I should ask, how long do I have to demo? What time should I stop?
I would say, well, this goes until 9 o'clock. So it's, I'm just looking here.
Okay.
I
And
have
you
to do the, so it's mountain time, it's 9 o'clock, or I mean, it's 8:44, so 7:44 their time. You've got another hour.
Okay. Cool. Well, I could probably fill that.
Yeah.
Just-
We can go as long as everybody wants to.
We'll
You know, we'll
just-
just see how it goes. Yeah.
If the numbers start dropping off the
Yeah. Well, they I
participants, then
asked
we'll
them
know.
to stay. Yeah.
All right, cool. We'll just keep going then. And we're going to go from basic. If I've got an hour, we're going to go from basic to some cool stuff that I build for customers and everything in between. So I'm going to show how to calibrate next. So I'm going up to my measurement panel. Looks like a little ruler over there. And this is where I get all of my measurement tools. And the most important button on this whole panel is going to be our calibrate button. You'll notice that there is a preset in here. And if the title block says 1/8 inch equals a foot, you can go ahead and select that. And it will set the scale of the drawing to what the title block says. I will teach all of my students, including you guys, to never do it that way. There are 2 ways that you can print the drawings. You can print scale to fit or fit to scale. One of them is actually going to be to scale, whether it fits on the paper or not. The other one is going to fit to the paper, whether it's to scale or not. And I know that sounds like a tongue twister and doesn't make any sense, but basically one can be right, one can be wrong, and they won't look any different to the naked eye. So if it's a scan, chances are it's not accurate. If it's printed half size, guess what? All of your quantities are going to be doubled. So I teach all my students to use the calibrate button. Once you hit that, it's going to open up this window that tells you how to use it. Select 2 points of a known dimension. I'm going to click OK. And then with my snaps turned on, snap to content, I'm going to let it snap to that grid line. You see that blue square just locks in. I'm going to click. And I like to hold my shift key also, so it draws a straight line. I don't want to ever accidentally calibrate on a skewed line. So I'm going to hold my shift key, pick on the next grid. And then this window pops up and basically means this random distance on the piece of paper equals 1 foot. We know that's not true, so we fill in 20'8". And I'm going to hit apply. And now all the dimensions that we do after that should be accurate. We just calibrated the drawings and we should be able to get some accurate numbers. So again, I was going through these down here. That's where we want to make sure we have snap to content turned on, so we're getting accurate measurements. Okay, was there a question?
No.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I heard somebody trying to interrupt me.
Hey, real quick,
Yeah,
when you're calibrating it, is it best to use a larger dimension or a smaller dimension, or does it really matter?
it'll be more accurate if you have a larger one. Yeah, that's a good point. I kind of consider these to be larger than others. I do hear a lot of instructors telling people to use a door. I cringe every time I hear that because we don't know if it's a 3-foot door like they're telling it is. And it's also a very small distance to be able to try to calibrate the whole sheet off of that supposed 3 feet. So yeah, good point. Use the bigger dimensions if you can. This one, yeah, that's one of the bigger dimensions on the sheet. So that definitely works. All right, so now that we're calibrated, I'm going to leave that for a second and keep going through the tool sets or the status bar down here. The next one is snap to markup. So I showed you how we snap to the content of the PDF. The next one is snap to markup. So if I draw a line, and I zoom in here, and I'm just hitting L to get to the line tool. I don't typically use shortcuts, but that's an easy one to remember. So snap to markup is going to do the same thing. It's just going to snap to our markups. So here you can see it locked in on that midpoint, the end point. So you can, if you need to draw things, you can do a good job snapping in and not guessing on these where the lines are connecting. And then some of you might be wondering how I can draw line after line without it canceling. That is this next button, reuse markup tool. When I have that highlighted blue and turned on, I can keep drawing lines as long as I want until I hit escape and cancel that command. If I turn that off and I draw a line, you'll notice that it kicks me out of that tool as soon as I pick the second point. And I have to go back and find that tool again. So I like to always leave this on. 27 years in CAD software, it's the same escape key to get out of all the commands. So my left middle finger is pretty much stuck on the escape key for the last many, many years. So I recommend having that on. It speeds things up. And then the last one here is synchronize views. I'm going to show you guys what that one means as well. Erase these. Minimize different views, panels. So I'm going to open up another drawing that is a new version of this drawing. So how I do that, I'm going to come over here to my file access, and down here you can see the drawing that I have open and all the drawings that I've had open recently. If I want to open up a drawing that I know lives in the same folder, so you have a project directory and all your drawings are in the same folder, I can very easily, instead of going to open and navigating through that whole structure, I can just right click on this drawing and go to open folder. And that's going to bring me directly to where that drawing lives up here. Actually, I'm on Rev A, so that's this one here. And I'm going to open up Rev C from the same folder. Now you can see I have two tabs here, Rev A and Rev C. This is where I'm going to click on split vertical so that it puts C over here. It duplicates my view. So I'm going to close C over here. And now I have Rev A next to Rev C. And with this synchronized views turned on, what that means is wherever I navigate in one of these drawings, it's going to follow it on the other one. So if I pan over, it's going to pan over on the other one. And I can start to look at these drawings side by side and try to figure out what changed in that revision. Okay, so there's some things that you'll see Down here, it looks like they changed this wall. It was rounded off. Somebody's probably the sheetrock guy said that's ridiculous. Let's square it off. And so that's what they switched it to. Okay. So synchronize views, that's the button right down here that will allow you to look at those drawings side by side. To help us find the difference in those drawings without just panning around and trying to find them visually, Bluebeam Review gives us tools under the document menu here. We can go down to compare documents. It's going to load the two drawings that we have open, and I'm just going to click OK. And it's going to go and create a third document with the diff extension on it. Split my screen again vertical and place all three of these next to each other. And here you can see it went and put a cloud around everything that was different between these two drawings. So it's looking at each of these pixel by pixel, and it found differences and clouded them for us. Okay, so again,
that would be a great resource if you, for example, and Liza, you might be able to tag on to this because you've been working out in the industry a little bit, but if you're doing as-builds, or maybe if you have a change order that you need to see the difference between what it looked like before and what it looked like, to show, in an RFI, you could use that. Can you think of any other ways, Liza, that might be helpful?
Well, the number one one you mentioned was change orders. We get a lot of revisions coming in from the architect, and sometimes they don't really list each and every single revision that they make in the drawing. So this is extremely useful for that purpose, identifying the small things that they added in.
yeah, for sure. And I know a lot of people, that's been a frustrating change as BIM has evolved, that clouding our changes has kind of become a thing of the past. That's kind of the joke out there, that people just aren't doing it anymore. And the reality is that in a world where we're building these 3D models, you can change one thing and it changes 6 other sheets and you don't realize it. So they make a change and they cloud it where they're working on it, but then they don't realize that it switched those other sheets, so they don't get clouded out there as a change. So as much as it's annoying, I'm here to say I don't think they're doing it on purpose.
What command was that again, Troy?
That was under the document menu and compare documents.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So that's a big one, to find where the differences are. It's still up to us to see what the changes are, but it shows us where they are. And if I pan over here, you'll see another area where it looks like they removed the bathroom, combined the rooms. And because it's looking pixel by pixel, you can actually see here it found the spelling error. So it looks like they had it right and for some reason made it wrong, but it's going to cloud those. And when I was in production, I definitely would have clouded changes to my drawings, but I would never have put a flag around things that I spelled wrong. That happens all the time. So that is our compare documents. And I'm actually going to save this one a second, and I'm going to show you guys a tip tonight. Save as. Yeah, on there. Yeah, so I saved that one. I'm going to close it. Now, again, that one showed us where the changes are. The next one we're going to do is show you where the changes are. So again, we're going to go under the document menu, come down here to overlay pages. And back in the day, we used to put drawings on top of each other over a table that had lights in it. And so we could see through the paper and see how things related to one another. We can do that digitally now with our overlay pages. So it's going to assign red to Rev C and green to Rev A. And all I need to do is, again, click on OK here. And it's going to create another document. Again, split my screen. And this time, it shows us what changed. So I can look at the red overlaying the green. Everything that's black means that it didn't change at all. So you can start to see Rev A had that rounded wall. The red is Rev C. They added some light fixtures and things. And then also when it runs this, it puts those on layers. So if I go to my layer panel over here, you'll notice I can turn off Rev C and just look at A and vice versa. So this is a great tool to actually show what changed when those change orders come through. You can overlay these and know exactly where things moved or changed. If you had a bunch of markups in here for quantities and you overlaid this, now you can just adjust those markups instead of making new ones, and all of your quantities will update in the markups list, which we'll get to later. So great tool for that. This is also used for a real rough clash detection or seeing how different disciplines can relate to one another. So I've seen it where we've overlaid a structural and a mechanical plan so that we can see if the ductwork is hitting the structural beams and things like that. You can overlay, they don't have to just be used for revisions. We can overlay different disciplines as well. I'm writing an article for Bluebeam tonight that I talk about how one customer overlaid the structural foundation plan with a pile plan. So they had a pile engineer that was going to drive these sheet piles into the ground to hold back the earth while they built the foundation. And so they overlaid those so they could see where this huge retaining wall was going to fit outside of the foundation and make sure that that was all coordinated. So you can do that type of thing as well with the overlay. Any questions on overlay?
Hey, Troy.
Yeah.
I wanted to just mention something. We have quite a few students in here that are on competition teams.
Okay.
And so, you know, I'm thinking, ways that this could be very helpful, like coordinating work. You know, if you had to do a narrative on how you're going to coordinate work, or another place where this would be very effective is if you overlaid multiple stages of your logistics plan. So maybe, you've got your trailers coming out on site, and then you do all your concrete work, and then you do all your roofing, and then maybe you do all your interiors, and you could actually pull off those layers, if you did multiple site logistics plans. So I'm just going to throw that out there. And, Liza, you've been out in the industry for a while. Maybe you could, I don't know, tag on to that and share how that might be helpful if you were on a competition team too.
Well, on the competition, yeah, Bluebeam overlays definitely help. And in my work experience, doing the overlays definitely helps with MEP coordination, the biggest one, and just for quality checking to make sure that nothing's going to clash with, new things that were added later on.
Right. Yeah. Good point. Existing and new construction overlay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So the tip that I wanted to show you guys here is we did the compare, which gave us the cloud around where the changes are. And now we have the overlay that shows what the changes are. The trick I want to show you guys is that we can actually import markups. So if I come down here and drag this up, this blue line, that's going to reveal our markups list. But I'm just, for this purpose, I'm going to go to my menu here. I'm going to go down to markups, and I'm going to go to import. And it's asking me what drawing I want to import markups from. I'm going to go back to my desktop where I saved that drawing, and I'm going to say open, and it's going to pull all the clouds in from my document compare and place them on my overlay. So now I have both in one document. So we compiled the overlay and the compare in one sheet. So kind of a cool, you don't have to have those separate. A lot of times in production, I'll pull those together and then save that in the revision folder. So I have a record of everything that changed. But that is the document compare and overlay. I'm going to close that.
Troy, can you, like, if I want to, I guess, show some, show, I guess, the clients or whatever, like, I want to show other people, can you create like a legend for that? You know, like the changes and what red means and what green means, or you just tell them?
That's a good question. We don't have any markups yet, so we wouldn't be able to create a legend unless it was just text and, you know, shapes with no smarts to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's certainly a possibility. But if you were actually sitting with the customer, you could go into that layer tab and show them layer C and layer A. When I run this again. It's fast enough. So you could go into this layer panel over here. And then that's kind of the legend. You're turning one off and one on. And you know which one belongs to which. I've done this 100,000 times, so I know which is which, but if I turned off A, I'd know exactly what's C.
Mm-hmm.
That's not exactly what you're looking for, but I think that's the closest we have automated available to us without creating a bunch of things. But then like the others were saying, you could overlay as many sheets as you want. Bluebeam kind of recommends no more than 4. It starts to get confusing what's what, because it'll keep assigning colors, orange and blue and whatever, to all the plans that you bring in. But yeah, they'll all create their own layers back here.
And are there any limitations to like overlay and all that? Like obviously they have to be the same documents, right? But what if, I guess, the scale is different somehow for some reason?
Good question. So you mean, what if I don't have perfect documents that I use when I do demos?
Exactly.
That's the real world. So what happens then, if you go in, these are going to work, of course, but if I go into compare documents, let's say we ran it and the whole thing just lit up on fire. The clouds were everywhere and everything was red. We knew that something was screwed up, right? So we're just going to close that one. We're going to run it again. And this time we're going to go through whether they're a different scale, or a lot of times what happens is it's not the scale that changes. It's some clown architect that moved this plan over 1/8 of an inch. And now the whole thing is screwed up, right? So what we can do is go into the document compare, and we have this pick points. And when I click on that, it's going to ask me to choose 3 points on the documents that are identical between the documents. So if I'm doing structural and mechanical, I want to look at a grid intersection or a building corner that's common between the 2 sheets. So I'm going to say okay here. And I like to use these building corners, so I can snap there, places a little 1. And I like to spread these out as much as possible too. So I'm going to do 2 over here, and then 3 down here. And then it's going to kick me over into my other sheet. And it gives me these little flags to try to help me find that. Usually if they're not matched up, you'll see that little 1 up here somewhere. So I'm just going to line that where it's supposed to be. And then when I'm done, it'll calibrate it based on these 3 points instead of the piece of paper. And then we can click overlay or click OK here.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's how that would be done. you will want to calibrate, because right now it's looking at the piece of paper corner to corner, and it's going to line those up. And like I said, if somebody moves this plan over 1/8 of an inch on the piece of paper, now the whole thing is bad. And if I do the overlay pages here, we have the same option here to align points and pick those 3 points to calibrate those. But I've seen, that's a great question, because I've seen where an addendum or something like that gets sent over, or maybe it's an RFI, it gets sent over on an 8.5 by 11, and it's only this small portion of the drawing. Well, you can still pick points within that bathroom and overlay the 8.5 by 11 over this full-size document and see what changed. It doesn't have to be a full sheet deal. And for that matter, even if it's not to scale, it will scale it and place those over top of one another.
Okay.
Great question, guys. So that's compare and overlay. We did calibrate. Let me close this one. We're done with that. And that's kind of, I know we went a long ways there, but that's synchronized views as well when you see those next to each other. So the next thing that I think I'll go over is just some common markups. So let's go through, those of you that have been using Bluebeam a while, I'm going to go through some markup tools and just show you guys some tips and tricks along the way. So hopefully everybody picks something up here, but all of your tools, Bluebeam's really intuitive as far as where things are. If you're looking for a markup tool, you're going to go to Tools, Markups. If you're looking for measurements, you're going to go to Tools, Measurements, Stamps, Sketch to Scale forms. You know, all of these are in here. So I'm going to go to Markups. And is there anybody following along, or are you guys just watching? I assume you're watching, but I don't want to bore you.
I got Bluebeam on my second monitor here.
Okay, cool. Good man, Matthew. You're actually
And
sitting.
Daniel said that he's got it on his too.
Cool. Cool. You guys are actually sitting through some of my actual training. So it's good for you. Markups. So we're going to come over here. Text box is a common one. So I'm going to select that. Pretty self-explanatory. You're going to click and drag a box, and then it's going to flash and ask you to type in your text. I run out of original ideas, so I usually just type that in. And you'll notice that when I did that and I clicked off of it, it shrunk the box to fit the text that was in it. So that, if I drag that back out, that's typically what happens. It's too big. And then you generally try to drag this up and make it the right size. You can actually just right click and go to auto size text box. Or this is one of the few shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts that I use. Alt Z will shrink that box to fit the text. And the reason mine did it automatically is because I was in my preferences here. Under tools and markups, I have auto size text box and callout markups. I have that checked on so that it always shrinks to fit the text when I click off of it. So that was just under the review menu up in the upper left. I went to preferences and auto size text box. Say okay there. Some of you, I'm guessing, ended up with no box around your text box. Looks more like this, right? Is Sophie still on? Can I pick on Bluebeam?
Yeah, please.
So I think Bluebeam thought it would be funny to provide a tool called a text box that doesn't actually have a box. So we're going to fix that. We're going to select the markup, come over here to our properties, which is the gearbox. And down here under line width, it's set to 0. That's why you don't have a box around it. So we're just going to bump that up, whatever you want that to be. This is also where you can customize your tools to look however you want. If you like blue boxes and blue text, that's where you switch it. And switch the font. Down here, the size of the font, justification, all that stuff is in here. And then once you get this looking the way that you want, you're going to come down here in the bottom of your properties and click on set as default. And now every time you use your text box, it's going to look the way that you want it to. It's going to have a box around it. So that's how you start to build the tools that you want looking the way that you want. Another tip that works for any markup in review, if you want to make a quick copy of this, say I'm marking up a plan and I know I'm going to have 5 or 6 other notes, you can select the markup, hold your control key down, and just click and drag. And wherever you drop those, it's going to give you a copy. And then you can come in here and edit that text, that note to whatever you want it to say. They're all independent of each other. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of heads drop, but hopefully everybody's taking notes and not falling asleep.
Another little cool thing when you do the control aspect, if you press shift too, it'll like move in whichever like axis that you go down, like left or right. I did when I was in my internship, I did a lot of markups for certain things, and I used that tool like all the time. That was very convenient to have. I was even able to like select 4 or 5 that were going horizontally, and then it was the same thing underneath, and I was able to select them all and then move them all down at the same time. That was really convenient to have. It's pretty much what you just said.
Yeah, very cool. The shift key is going to help you do things in a straight line, up and down, right to left, whether you're drawing lines, doing dimensions, calibrating, moving things. The shift key is going to help you move those in a straight line. So good point. And then the other thing you said, if I hold down my right mouse button again, I can select all these at the same time. And then I think you were moving them all together. To build on that, there's also some cool tools in here for if I select all these and let's say I pick on engineers because they like things lined up. You can right click after you select all of these and go down to alignment and align left, and it's going to align all those notes on the left side. So you can clean those up after without trying to eyeball it. And then if you're doing any sort of presentation or something like that, you can right click, go to that alignment again, and down here, distribute vertically is going to evenly space those between the top one and the bottom one. So I know one of the topics coming up in a few weeks is digital dashboards. That's a great tool for that. When you start to build buttons in your digital dashboards, you can line things up and make it look nice that way. Just right click, alignment, and then make sure things line up or distribute evenly. And then one great thing that they added in review 20 was the ability to turn a text box into a call out. So if I right click on that, I can add a leader and go ahead and point anywhere that I want. Previous to review 20, I couldn't do that. I had to go up to my tools and grab a call out, pick where I want the text, type that in. And notice there, it shrunk the text box, but it also started a new one because I have my reuse markup tool turned on down here. It's going to keep creating those as I click off of them. So now that this is a call out, you can actually see that up here. It's a call out. And when I right click and delete that leader, it switches to be a text box. Those are 2 of the most popular tools in Bluebeam across the board. So it's great that they combined those. Prior to that, if we wanted to add an arrow, we either had to draw an arrow that wasn't connected, or we'd have to come in here, double click, copy text, paste it into a call out markup so that we could have the arrow attached. Okay, so I already did a call out here. We just picked the start point of the arrow, placed where we wanted the text, and then typed it in. Some tips and tricks with our call outs. There's a couple different ways we can add arrows. A lot of people in the industry are just going to go to the arrow tool. So I'll show you what that looks like, arrow. And they're going to start here and draw a line up here. Okay, looks fine right now, but when we move our text, it's no longer connected. So I'm just creating an issue, a problem that I got to follow up on all the time. So what we do instead, and this is something that when you guys get into the workforce and you start to talk to those people that have been in Bluebeam a while, you might blow their socks off with this one. If you right click, you can go to add a leader and add as many as you want. And when you move the text, they all move with it. Okay. And maybe an even faster way to do that is select the markup, hold your shift key down and click on this elbow right here, the little grip. And you can add them that way without right clicking. And again, if you hold your shift key, it's going to add a grip, but if you continue to hold it, it's going to stay on the 45s. If you let go, then it's a free hand wherever you want that to be. And in Review 20, they also gave us the ability to have arrows off both sides, which is fantastic. We used to have to trick it by going through the center and blocking it with white. And then to remove those, if you want to get rid of any of these, select the markup so you can see the grips, hold your shift key down, and just click on the tip of the arrow you want to get rid of. And you can remove all those. And again, if you want this to look like your text boxes, just select it, go to your properties, change all the colors, set as default. So all your stuff looks the same. Let's see. The pen I never use. I don't freehand draw anything. If you do use, I don't draw anything that way. Frankly, I'm not good at it. If you hold your shift key, it'll help you draw straight lines up and down, right to left, but we have line tools for that. So again, I never use the pen. I do use the highlighter though. It's the next one down. Same thing here. You can draw your big yellow worms. If you hold your shift key, you can draw straight lines. One trick that you'll run into with the highlighter, actually we won't on this sheet. This is a raster based drawing. I'm going to open up a different one to show you a problem that you'll run into from time to time. Grab my highlighter again. Sometimes when you're in a congested area of the drawings, well, you'll see here, first of all, if I'm in white space, it looks like the tip of a highlighter. If once I get close to any text, it looks like a text selector. So it wants to select that text and highlight it. And what happens is when you do that, if you go a little bit too far, it'll blink and highlight everything except the door that you wanted to, right? So that's not what we want. So I'm going to go up to Edit or Control Z and just do an undo. And I'll show you guys how to fix that. If I go back to my highlighter, when it comes up here and it tries to grab onto that text, I'm going to hold my Control key down and it switches it back to a highlighter, freehand highlighter. And then I'm going to hold my Shift key at the same time and draw a straight line over that door tag. So that's what happens if you set the whole thing on fire and highlight everything. Just undo it, come back, hold your Control key down and highlight over that text that was screwing you up.
Hey Troy,
Go ahead, Manny.
during my internship, I always found it useful to just sometimes double click some text as well. And then it'll like highlight that part.
Okay, so you went in here and you just double clicked like that. Good, I like it. Good one, good tip.
I was gonna ask, so if I'm trying to copy and paste something out of that, so similar to highlighting, and it does the whole document. Could you do a Control Shift as well?
Which tool are you using? The text
Yeah.
selector down here? That is a good question. I don't think so. That's going to draw a window, which it's not going to find that text with the window.
Yeah, usually when I try to do that, it just ends up doing the whole document as well.
Yeah, you end up, you have to, sorry about the dog. He gets excited about Bluebeam. The double click though works that he was using there. So I really like that one. Double click.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Troy,
So
could I add in one thing about the highlighter as well?
yeah.
So it's not industry related, it's school related, but it's reminding me that I've talked to some folks who use, Bluebeam for readings. If you guys are ever assigned readings by professors, put them into Bluebeam, and then, if you're going through and highlighting, anything in there. I think the highlighter tool is probably one of the best tools for that. And then when Troy talks about the markups list, I can kind of speak to sort of how they use the markups list to essentially for note taking. So you're using the highlighter, maybe you're using a call out that Troy already mentioned, maybe using a call out to, take some other notes in your reading. And then using the markups list to kind of consolidate all of your notes for a class.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do that all the time. I actually built, I don't have them here, but I built some tools for Bible study actually, where you have different highlighter colors for different people. And you highlight them as you go through in your readings. And then basically at the end of everything, you have a profile based on the same color highlighters. It talks about the same person. I also do that for my taxes every year. I get my, I use Bluebeam for everything. I design my tattoo in Bluebeam. But for my taxes, I take my year-end summary on my credit card where I pay all my bills, and I do a search for all of my utilities. So all the electrical, I'll highlight in yellow, all the gas, I'll highlight in pink or whatever the case might be. And then I'm able to total all those up. I add the cost to each markup. And then my markups list is basically a running total of all of those utility costs.
Would you mind sharing how to do that? Because I think it's pretty useful.
How to do that with the, so
like say you want to search or you want to see all the office buildings.
Yeah, we'll show that. So let's just, we'll come over here to our search, the little magnifying glass. And for this one, because it's a word, I'm going to go to the word search or the text and just type in office. Office. And it went through and found all the examples where it says office. And I can click on each one of these and it will bring me to that so I can verify it over here. And once I know they all say office, I'm going to come here, select them all, come down here, and I'm going to highlight it. It's going to highlight it yellow because that's what my default highlighter is. So those are all office. Next, I'm going to go over to my highlighter and I'm going to change my default to orange. Go back to my search and I'm going to look for meeting. Finds all those. Select that. Highlight checked, and now all those are orange. Oops, made a dot down here. And now if we look at our markups list, this is where it's recording everything that's happening up above. So now I have all of my yellow markups and all of my orange markups. If I turn on my colors, then you can see those a little bit better, which ones are which.
And this is great, you guys, for, you know, if you're on a competition team, you know, and you've got to count doors, or you've got, you know, of certain type or whatever. Can you, I'm just trying to think, can you put pricing to things in Bluebeam, or is it just the counting?
No, you can do that for sure. Let's play with these markups now that we have these created. So first off, I'm going to go through, I selected the top one. I'm going to hold my shift key and grab all of my yellow highlighters. And then I'm going to go over to my properties for that. And in the subject, I'm going to call this office. Okay, so that's going to put that. Now you'll see that in the subject of all those markups. And then I'm going to select all my orange ones, hold my shift key down. And this one's going to be a meeting. And now what happens is we can sort these. It's telling you I have 19 meeting rooms and 29 office rooms. So it's giving us quantities there. And then let's just say if you wanted to add a cost, how would I do that? Generally, I don't add a cost to just a room. It would be, let me show some other tools and we'll come back to that.
Okay,
To
because
adding
that
a
would be
cost.
so helpful
Okay.
if they were on a competition team and had to, I mean, you could easily price out different,
Okay.
you know, activities or different areas fairly quickly.
Okay. Yeah, let's switch gears and go to that. How much time do I have left? Like 15 minutes?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, cool. I want to make sure that you guys have enough time to close out. So I'm going to show you how to build a custom column, and then I'm going to show you some measurement tools. First, we're going to come down here to our markups list, go to columns. These are all the columns that are available with Bluebeam. We've got areas, lengths, wall areas, volumes, all that type of thing. But we're going to come in here and go to manage columns. We have a custom column tab over here, and I am going to add a new one, and I'm going to call this flooring. And this is going to be a choice.
1 second, how do you add the new column?
I'm going to cancel. So I'm on the custom columns tab. I'm going to click add. And then I'm going to
Okay,
name,
gotcha.
I'm going to name it flooring. I'm going to make it a choice type of column. I have these different options. I'm going to do choice. And then I'm going to add different choices in here. So I'm going to click add again. And I'm going to call this one wood. And that's only going to be available when I have a subject of office. I'll show you what that means in a second. And then I'm going to assign a value of, let's just say this is $12. I'm going to say, okay. So we have that one in here. I'm going to add a new one, and I'm going to call this one carpet. Only in the office areas. And I'm going to make this one 10. Say okay. Add another one. Tile. I know I'm going fast here, guys. I like to show what's possible. And then you guys can reach out on my website and to know how. So the numeric value, the cost for the tile, let's just say 15. I have no idea. So I have 3 different options. And whenever I make a choice, one tip that I'll throw in here is I always put a blank one in. So I'm going to add another one. I'm going to say blank. I'm going to do office. I'll show you why in a second. I'm just going to apply 0, and I'm going to make this one my default. So when I do a markup, it's going to default to a blank, which means I have to select a floor type. Otherwise, it's not going to give me my totals. And then I always put this at the top of my list. And I'm going to say, okay. And okay. And now I've got my flooring column here. And I'm going to come in here and start measuring out some of these rooms. Delete these tags. Okay, so we already calibrated the drawing, I think. Maybe we didn't on this one. I'm going to calibrate quick. Pick 2 points. Just holding my shift key, I'm going to draw a straight line over to there. Call this 30 feet. And I'm going to zoom in over here. And I'm going to use my area tool at the top. A couple different ways I can do this. I'm going to turn my line weights off so I can get accurately into the corners. I'm going to click over here and hold it down. So I'm going to click and drag from that corner to the opposite corner. It's going to draw a rectangle and give me my square footage. Okay. And I'm going to name this one meeting instead of area measurement. And what you're going to find is this number lands on top of the room number almost every time. And when you try to move it, it moves the entire markup. You don't want that. So the trick there is to hold your shift key and click and drag that wherever you want. So your shift key again there. The other way that we can do our area measurement, same tool, but instead of clicking and dragging, because this one's a little bit more of an odd shape, I'm going to snap and pick. On the endpoints of all those, double click my last one. It gives me my square footage there. And then over here, where I skipped over that round corner, I'm going to select the markup, right click on this line segment and convert to arc. And it will put an arc in that line for me and adjust the square footage. And I'm going to name this one meeting also. And then there is a third way to do an area measurement. So we'll come over here to a room that's a little bit more, has a few more curves. And this one, we're going to come all the way over here to dynamic fill. When I click on that, it's going to bring up this new toolbar. And the way that dynamic fill works is I need a continuous line all the way around the perimeter of the area I want to measure. And because there's an open area here, I need to close that door. So I'm going to come up here and click on add boundary. And I'm going to draw a line to close this door. Then I'm going to select my paint bucket. And I just come into the area I want to measure, hold down my left mouse button, and just let the paint fill the room. I'm going to bleed through that cabinet, bleed through the door tag. And I need to tell it what to report. If I don't select any of these, I'm going to hit apply and it's just going to cancel because I didn't tell it what I wanted to know. I'm going to put area in here and I'm going to hit apply. And then that's going to give me my area measurement. Drag that. Call this one meeting, even though it's not. So that's dynamic fill. And now what we can show you here is with that flooring, I've got my different area measurements here. And if I go to my properties, if I double click in here, I can select which, sorry, how did I do that? Love it when I screw myself up. What did I put in there for? Oh, I put office, that's why. So these types of flooring will only apply to the rooms that I call office. Because I named them meeting, they are not an option in here. So when I click on there, I don't have any in my menu. So I'm going to come over here and fix that. I'll hold my shift key and I'm going to call all of these office. Okay. And now we've got those down here. If I double click on this one, I like to have those blank ones so that it forces us to answer those questions. And if I double click in here and I select wood, now it's going to give me the total. So I make these wood and carpet. I can get those in there. And then if
And
I
is that
Go ahead.
the pricing?
Yeah, so then what we would do, that's the pricing per foot. And then I would create another custom column in here. Let's do that quick. We're going to call this one flooring cost. And this one is going to be a formula. And it's going to be area times our flooring parameter that we created. And I want this to be currency, 2 decimal places, the dollar, and I want to include the total. So I'm going to say okay and okay. And then here you can see the total for each room and the total for wood. And you can see the total here.
That's almost like a game changer. I mean, Liza's in here. I don't know if I know if sometimes querying our partner has their estimator in here as well. But typically they would export out all the markups and then put it in Excel and do all the pricing separately in an Excel spreadsheet.
Right. Yeah, we can do a couple different things there. We could either do the formulas for all of that in Bluebeam, kind of like I showed here, really rough, or we could use Quantity Link with the extreme version and have the markups feed the total quantity directly into that Excel file. And then you have all your formulas out there. So I'm going to show you another one here. So these are concrete markups that I built for a customer for isolated footings and piers and walls and strip footings and things like that. And when you look at the markups list here, I've got all kinds of custom columns in here for rebar. So with this one, I've got the rebar size. I don't have the right ones turned on here, but let me see if I can fix that quick. Spacing. Red. I'm off on another monitor here, sorry. Spacing, mats. I think that'll do it. Okay, so if I look at this particular isolated footing, I can go in according to the foundation legend. I'm going to put number 6s in there. Maybe they're number 5s this time. The spacing in the length direction is, let's say, 1 foot on center. And in the other direction, let's say it's 16 inches. So we'll leave that at 1 1/3 feet. And then it's going to, it's taking the length and the width and a bunch of formulas in the background and giving me my total quantity of rebar in here as well. So if they want it top and bottom, we can put 2 in here and it's going to double all our quantities.
Mm.
So built a lot of really cool tools for a lot of customers. Everything from, let's see, what do we got as examples? Concrete occupancy calculations. That's another one that's just a formula for accessibility. There's different types of rooms and how many people are allowed. That's all formulas based on an area of space.
Hmm.
So you create those formulas and get those in here. Wall and floor finishes, windows, security. Here's an example of some developments by my house where I had the quantities feed into Excel, and then I created a pie chart so that we could have a presentation on what's going on with the developments. So yeah, like I said, I could go on and on. I was wondering what I was going to talk about for
Yeah.
over an
I got one
hour.
more question, if you don't mind, Troy.
No, go ahead, Colton.
So I have tattoos myself. How did you use Bluebeam to design your tattoo? That definitely piqued my interest.
Well, it's a pretty simple tattoo. I took a bunch of, I love the outdoors. So I took a bunch of trail signs and combined them. So let's see if I can show it here. I can't see myself.
Can you show it to us on Bluebeam?
Yeah, do you have the file to just open it up or no?
I'd have to look for it. I don't, can you see my?
Like get closer to the camera.
Yeah.
I could barely see it.
Okay.
The light is kind of like, yeah, I can't really see it.
And
but
I'm trying to.
that's crazy.
I don't know how to, I can't see myself in the camera, so I don't know if I'm showing it. I could search.
So
for
when you just made it in Bluebeam and then you like printed it out and then gave it to your tattoo artist, or how did you
Yeah.
get it from Bluebeam to?
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
So let me come in here.
You'd be surprised at how many people, like, I think it was Liza that was saying that, I don't know, there's like homework and stuff that you've done on Bluebeam, just to use the program more and use all the things that they use. A lot of, I want to say actually it was the BYU Idaho students said that they use it for everything.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so I just went in, I grabbed a bunch of these. I grabbed one with a mountain, a lake, a hiker, a tent, and I just combined them all together, square like this, and printed it out, and he pasted it and did it in solid green.
That's tight. How
And you
creative.
did overlays or something?
Well, they printed out basically on like a, I don't know, it's, well, we're the same age, but remember when they used to run your credit card through that little piece of tape, that purple paper, and it would create a duplicate of it?
Oh yes, the
It's kind of like that, but it sticks to your arm and then they trace it.
Oh,
with
interesting.
Yeah.
Stencil.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
basically.
probably the oldest on online here today. You guys probably don't even know what we're talking about. Sophie might not even know.
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, you do?
Not to date
Okay.
myself. I love this though. Troy, I've heard some pretty innovative ways of using Bluebeam, but honestly, your tattoo might be the winner. I love it.
Thank you.
That's a great way to wrap up the night for sure. I'm sure everybody that's online probably thinks you're really cool right now.
I appreciate that.
I
Well,
certainly do.
I'll let you guys wrap things up. I just wanted to get you guys aware of my website, uchapter2.com. On here, you're going to see a lot of resources, training videos, blog material where I explain how to do things. All my events, my training events and webinars are in here as well. And then if you just click on resources here, it'll bring you to free downloads. I've got free tool chests that you can download. I built 1,615 tools that you can download.
Wow.
And then there's also 82 hatch patterns that are in AutoCAD, popular ones that you can bring into Bluebeam as well. Lots of other stuff here. And then the big one I want to show you is the forums here. This is like, it's my little Bluebeam user group where you guys can come in. There's people all over the world. There's different groups based on workflows. So you can come in, jump into the estimating group and ask questions. But you'll
Is
see
that free?
that's all free. Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So here's a bunch of spam I'm working on getting rid of, but yeah, there's good conversations going on in there. And that's a good resource for you guys to just continually learn and engage in the community day in and day out.
And so, like, for example, if they were in the middle of, I wonder if they were in the middle of a competition and they're like, we don't know how to do this, and they posted it in your forum, would they respond?
You might get a response pretty quick. There's people all over the world that get to it even before I do, and I'm in here all the time. But it's a good place to have access. If you've got questions for me, I'm in here all the time, and I can help out. One thing that I was actually blown away by after my website was pretty well developed was the search function up here. So when you click in here, if I type in concrete and hit enter, it's gonna give us all of the resources where we reference concrete. So it's slow tonight for some reason through Zoom, I guess.
This will be very helpful for you guys going out into your internships and stuff, too.
Yeah, I don't know why this is taking so long.
It may be late at night. Sometimes internet companies do,
So here, yeah, it finished now. So you can see there's 8 blog posts where I mentioned concrete, pages, discussions in the forums, replies, videos, events, everything where we talk about concrete.
Nice.
So yeah, I was pretty excited once I saw that on my own site.
This is really cool.
I'll kick it back to you guys. Thank you so much for having me and letting me blab for an hour and a half. I appreciate it, and willing to do it anytime you guys need me.
Oh,
thank you, Troy. That was very useful.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and Matt just said he bookmarked you chapter 2.
Good.
Yeah, we really appreciate both you, Sophie, and Troy for coming and helping us and teaching us and just partnering with us and kicking off our series. So hopefully you guys will come back and help us out here throughout the series. We'll definitely give you invites, and if you can make it, that'd be great. And Liza, you're always welcome. So, and all the students that came too that have been new, so you're always welcome to come back. So thanks, you guys, and I hope everybody has a great evening, and I'll stick around here if anybody has any questions or wants to talk to me.
Christy, can I just add one thing?
Sure.
I'm on that topic of resources. Obviously, Troy has a ton of amazing resources on his website. Speaking specifically to, and Troy, you might have some resources on your website for this as well, but in the chat, I'm gonna I'm putting in a link to a webinar that specifically talks about using custom columns and cost and using Bluebeam for quantity takeoff. I mean, awesome. You saw, yeah, and Troy did a great job showing it, and like this video just goes into depth. Like, it's a whole like hour of just that. So it's pretty cool to see. And then I'm just putting a couple of other links into the chat.
And Sophie,
well.
do you mind emailing me those too?
Yeah, for sure.
That would be great, because what we could do is, if we send out the recording of this, we could put those links in there from Bluebeam as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do that now so I don't forget.
Okay, you guys, any questions or comments or anything before we take off? Okay.
I definitely learned some good things. I like that cursor thing. I will certainly utilize that.
Awesome. Good to hear. It's the simple things that make a huge difference.
Absolutely. That's why I saw it. I was like, oh, I need to do that immediately.
Yeah. I
Well,
always,
you know, I was gonna say, we also, and Sophie reminded me of this, and we can show this in the next bug user group, but we also have a frequently asked questions document that we're putting together. And I think we've shared it with Sophie. Troy, it's probably beginner in compared to what you shared with us tonight. So I would say we could share it with you, but you probably know all that stuff. But
no,
there
I'd love
are,
to see it.
yeah, and there's those resources too. So there's just a lot of outreach for everybody. And
Yeah,
Liza too, if you want to see that, since you were a bug leader before, if you want that frequently asked questions, we can share it with you for sure.
Thank you, Christy.
Okay, you guys, well, have a great evening, and in a couple weeks we'll have another session, and hopefully we'll get some new and more people coming. So have a great night, you guys. Thanks so much, Sophie and Troy.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks,
Yes.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Appreciate your
Bye.
time, Troy. Thanks, Sophie. Have a
Thanks,
good night,
guys.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey,
Good
it's
night,
just
guys.
us. See you guys.
I know. Hold on
It's
one
11
second.
o'clock, Sophie.
I know. I'm trying to turn off the recording here.